Hello, everybody. Are you a pharmacist or in the health and wellness space? If not, you're welcome here too. Maybe you need a little inspiration or motivation. You might be looking to grow your network or collaborate. Maybe you're looking for more in your career. You're ambitious and you want to make a bigger impact. I'm Dr. Trish Francetic with my good friends and colleagues, Drs. Kelly Shab and Pana Nainan. We are 3 PharmDs from coast to coast in the US. And tonight we are 4 PharmDs.
Yep.
And we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. If you're attending this, if you would share this event with your network, that would be great. We would really appreciate it. Today, we're chatting with Dr. Christina Fontana. She's also known as the Pharmacist Coach. She's an intuitive, rapid transformation business coach, pharmacist, and 5-time author. She's amazing, y'all. She's the leader and the founder of the Healers in Healthcare movement, geared to empower pharmacy students and pharmacists to monetize their knowledge and own their confidence to scale their profitable and impactful healing business. Dr. Fontana is going to share with us tonight about expanding opportunities in entrepreneurship. So welcome.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I love how you guys have the coast to coast PharmD. I think that's really catchy. So I love it. I have been watching you guys since you started this, and I'm so excited to be here tonight with you.
Oh, we're excited.
We're excited to have you too. We're excited to dive in and hear more about your story for those who haven't, and share that with other people too. And so just to learn more about you, Dr. Christine, so what is, a little background as far as your journey in pharmacy, switching over and becoming an entrepreneur? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'll give you just the Cliff Notes version because that would be a very long answer to have to answer. But my dad was a pharmacist and he owned a pharmacy, serial entrepreneur. So I think when you grow up with that, you kind of are just I watched him and I was so amazed by him and how he was so good with the customers. And I learned so much about just being innovative and creative without realizing it until now I'm on this journey. I'm like, wow, he was really amazing. But I, worked for him for years, probably started sweeping floors at his pharmacy and helping older ladies find cards and all of that. And it came up until the point where I was about to graduate pharmacy school. And I had this gut feeling that I was like, oh, I can't continue in this environment. I actually, my dad, I admired him so much, but I grew up in a lot of just abuse, physical, mental, emotional abuse. And I had an eating disorder. So I was anorexic in high school. And then I wound up having what's called night eating syndrome. So it's essentially like a binge cycle where I would get up in the middle of the night and just eat. It's very unconscious. You're just eating and then over exercising and kind of being in this vicious cycle of self-sabotage. So I was going through that all through pharmacy school. And like I said, I really admired this man who was such a strong influence in my life, but I was also terrified of him. And so it was scary for me to voice and say, I want to do something different because I was so suppressed for a lot of the early years of my life. And so when I finally started to share that and speak my desire, I got met with, how dare you? Who do you think you are? All of that. And so it took tremendous courage to pursue a residency. That was kind of my door out of this, toxic environment, because my whole family worked at the pharmacy and it was just the relationship dynamics were really difficult. But I just knew that was actually the first time, because I really didn't really believe in God, source, spirit, whatever you call it. I had never really experienced that until that time in my life. And I was going through so much anxiety and so much of just doubting what was right, what should I be doing? But that relationship grew and I felt it in the quiet moments. I remember still being in my bedroom at my parents' house. And God was like, go for it. It was this tiny whisper. And I knew that I was meant to do something bigger. And I was like, you know what? I don't care if my dad couldn't even look me in the eye. He, hated me essentially because I wanted to leave and do something different. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to do this and I'm going to go for it. And I wound up getting a residency through the Scramble. which for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's essentially like I picked my top 5 residencies and none of them picked me essentially. So it's like called the scramble, where there's unmatched programs and unmatched residents. So I finally got it, and then I got kicked out of my house. So I came home the one day, and all of my stuff was on the lawn. So I had, my mom was literally taking off hangers, out of the closet and like throwing all of my things out onto the lawn. So I literally was at my rock bottom, where I was like, my dad fired me from my job that day. I had nowhere to live. I was living out of my little Mazda 3 car, and I had eating disorder. I had my eating disorder. I had anxiety. I had like all of these things, and I can kind of like, I can't believe all that was going on. That's why I'm kind of like, it's crazy. But I knew in that moment, I'm like, you know what? I will be telling this story someday, and I will be standing on a stage and telling people that anything is possible for your life when you just listen to that nudge, whatever that is for you. Again, whatever your relationship with God, source, spirit, the universe, when you go for it, even if you are scared out of your mind, you will be provided for. And so that is my testimony to just say, and there's been many other like mini awakenings that have happened. But I tell that story because so many of us, I think, live in that fear. We live in like, oh, well, can I afford that thing? Can I do it? And I even had fear. Like, we're going to talk a little bit about the healers in healthcare. I was scared. I called up Sue Paul because I'm like, she did manypreneurs. Like, she could tell me if this is a good idea or not.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm scared. Like, I was literally on the phone with her a month ago. And she's like, go for it, honey. Like, she kind of said the same thing. So she's like, whenever I've had that gut feeling of like, you're on a roller coaster and you're like, oh, I don't know, it always works out. So again, like, that is one of my big takeaway points, that anybody who's watching this, I want you to know that you can dance with the fear, but don't let that hold you back. And so that is what I want to be, the beacon of light for healing, for transformation, for empowerment for pharmacists, because I know I'm not the only one that's experienced toxic work environments, being dismissed, being like, it's low level abuse. And I'm not down with that. So it's time for us to rise, for the divine feminine to rise. And that's what we're talking about. So, you're in the right spot.
Wow.
I got the chills when you said that, Christina. And, I want to say something really quick too, because it was the very first time that I met you. It was almost 2 years ago this summer. You were on the summit. And I was just a participant, I wasn't a speaker on the panel. And I saw you for the very first time, and I was still in my pharmacy job. And this is a surreal moment that I'm sitting here and I'm interviewing you today.
Yeah. And then you're going to be on the speaker panel at the conference.
I know. This is like all this. So then it shows me just how far I've come in the last, almost 2 years. So
exactly.
Anyway, I digress. So very nice.
That is a powerful story. And what I was thinking as you're telling me or telling us it is, that should have been a really exciting time in your life, where you're graduating pharmacy school and you did get your residency, because not everybody chooses to go that path. It's a very powerful path to take. It's continuing your education.
Yeah.
So I love how you put it all together and what you've made of it today. I'm just so in awe of your story. And I know there's a lot more within it, but just to stick with our interview here, what is the best thing you know or have about owning your own business?
I might cry.
Us too.
It's being able to make the impact that I do. Like, I was crying with my husband earlier. I'm like my dream is coming true. And like, you guys and everybody that's part of it. And like, I've had so many people who are just reaching out and helping. And like, this huge ass conference is coming together. Like, I never could have imagined or dreamed that this is even possible. And like, to know that like I impacted Trish, and then Trish can go impact her patients and her clients. Like, that's just a movement beyond like anything that I can do myself.
Yeah.
And so like just seeing all of these pharmacists step forward and it's like, boom, yeah, like let's do this. Like in so many different ways, it's incredible. Like that, it moves me so deeply. And like, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So
It's nice to have pharmacists collaborating too, because coming from an independent background as well, you don't collaborate. Your secrets, you have secrets and you don't
Yep.
want to share them with the other pharmacy down the road, and you feel
Yep.
very isolated. So what you've created and what we're all trying to do together is changing pharmacy entirely.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I think, like I said, I've gone through so much personal development, and I've gone through, having my heart broken open to what is the truth of why we're here. And I feel like, going through Joe Dispenza's work, especially, it's like, when you experience that level of just oneness, there's no room for that. There's no room for that competition. Like I really fully trust. I said to my husband today, I'm like, I want people to go to Trish. I want people to go to you. I want to just circulate this energy. And for people to be like, oh my God, yes, I want to start a functional medicine business. I'm going to go talk to Kelly and learn about hormones or whatever. Like that is the type of energy that I want to create here, because I'm just a piece of the puzzle. I can't do everything. I can't help everybody. So I want to bring us all together to connect, to collaborate, to network. We're going to have so much fun. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's so much bigger than like, because think about that energy, right? It's like, I'm going to close off and like not, I'm going to like siphon off what I know because I don't want to compete. But then you don't also allow for the openness and the expansion of, well, now we're on having this conversation. Like, you guys are going to reach my audience. I'm going to reach yours. And you never know where the energy is going to lead.
Right. Exactly.
So,
We're all in this together. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's enough to go around.
Yeah,
There
no,
really is.
absolutely.
More than enough to go around.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that's just everything that you said is just so perfect too for the audience that we have, for them to know, like, don't let fear hold you back. And, the impact of what you end up doing could be so much greater than you ever imagined,
Yeah.
And that right there is inspiring and helps people keep going, and keep trying, because starting your own business or branching away from what in pharmacy and have always been doing is difficult. Like people
Yeah.
have a big fear with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I really get that too. And like, I've had to go, when I was engaged, I broke off my engagement. I had to go back to pharmacy. So I've kind of experienced a lot of those different, like people sometimes feel a lot of like shame or fear, like, oh, I couldn't make my business work. But look, like you keep at it, you're persistent, you get coaching, you get help, whatever it is, you network, whatever that thing is that unlocks the door for you. And then it's like, it does work out. You just have to keep going,
Yeah.
So
I love that. So what about as being an entrepreneur in this space? I know like there's the great things and then there's those hurdles. Like what have you found to be one of the most challenging aspects?
honestly, dealing with my own trauma, like I get triggered. I have things that happen that, the more you expand, the more you're visible, you're going to have haters and you're going to have like these protective parts of you come up that are like, that I need to set boundaries. And then some people take that as like, it's too much or whatever. You're going to get hit with all of these different things because of that. You're being more visible, you're making a bigger impact. And so I feel like at every next level of my business, like I can remember it's probably a couple of years ago, I had the fear of setting boundaries because I was like, well, shit, like I don't want anybody to be mad at me. I was like the good girl and all of that. And I think then it was like, oh, like this is the hard boundary. And I kind of learned how to be more, I guess, like loving with my boundaries. And I'm not perfect. I'm a work in progress, but I feel like some of the layers of trauma that have come up around building a business, I think that has been really difficult, and that's why I have a coach and I have, a nervous system coach that I work with and business coaches that help me to navigate my stuff, because we
Mhm.
can't heal alone. We can't do it by ourselves.
Right.
So
For sure, for sure.
Mm.
Well, we'd love to hear something inspiring. Do you have an inspiring story of something that's happened in your business?
yeah, I'm just really like, to what's top of mind for me. I'm just so grateful to witness some of these up and coming pharmacists too, like Lauren Dantimo. I'll tag her in here. I'm so freaking proud of her. Like I gave her, like, sometimes I channel like offer names, and I said like, oh, you should like, it sounds like what you're saying is like rise into relief. She did it. She created a program, and I'm like, wow. So this idea came to fruition, and this amazing girl, this pharmacist, is now like, she's been in my Elevate Entrepreneur Academy for a bit now, and I'm watching her put this together. Like, I think that's just really cool to me when you can take an idea and implement it and see it to fruition. And it doesn't have to be, like I know as pharmacists, we're like, well, what if we fail and perfection and all that? It's like, celebrate that you created that thing. It doesn't matter if 10 people buy it or whatever. It's like, celebrate that journey of, wow, I took that next step in my business. And I think, to me, like, really as a coach, celebrating those little wins with people, whether it's tangible or intangible, it's like, hey, I grew in this way. I think that is just so valuable. And that just shows the level of impact of being, being a coach and guiding some of these amazing women that are up and coming, healers, and they're coming to the conference and everything like that. So I think, that's just a really cool, just recent story that kind of came to my mind when you asked that. But I could tell you a million stories.
I guess you can. Yeah.
I like celebrating all the wins. I mean, just
Yeah.
celebrating, even getting out of our comfort zone sometimes, just that is
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
exactly. Because it's those micro wins that are going to keep you going and keep you, like, not looking at, oh, what don't I have? What am I doing wrong? It's like, no, celebrate
Mhm.
everything that you're doing, and that you're doing the best that you can with the information you have, with the capacity that you have. We're going to be talking a lot about the nervous system, which I'm super excited about, because this is cutting edge that I'm learning about, and that I'm going to be helping, I really want more pharmacists to be doing this work too with the nervous system, because it's all about really looking at the autonomic nervous system and how people go to burnout, and how to get you back up into that level of safety so that you can be more present with your patients. So I think that there's a lot that we can do as pharmacists that, back to the whole reason why we're here is to heal, to help people heal, but we have to heal ourselves often to become empowered to then coach other people. So that's really kind of like the chain that I see.
It's like I always say, we can't, coming from that place of being in that sympathetic mode. I mean, we can't create in that,
Yeah.
so
Well,
we have to.
a
Yeah.
lot of, what I'm learning too is a lot of high performers go into freeze, which is a blended state of it's sympathetic and shutdown.
Mhm.
And where essentially you're overthinking a lot, procrastination, perfectionism, like a lot of that. It's called high functioning freeze. And so freeze energy loves completion. So like, one thing that you can do is like literally take it down and say, okay, I have all these things to do, because overwhelm also comes with that. And say, how long is this task going to take? I'm going to pick 2 things to complete. Because again, it's like, there's all these open loops and all these things going on. Just take it down to 2 of the top priorities, write down how long it's going to take, close the loop, and you're going to be like, oh, that feels like so much better, right? Like, people love checklists. It's like that. So just
Yeah.
those little tips, I'm going to be sharing a lot about that as well, and kind of weaving that into my programs from now on. But really, that's the foundation of scaling a sustainable business, because if we're running on that sympathetic, or even in shutdown, like that's, more so the burnout, you feel like you can't move at all. There's a really like severe procrastination, all of that. That's really where a lot of healthcare, workers, unfortunately, because we aren't taught how to regulate our nervous system, or how to work with, the subconscious and all the things, Trish, you know that too. So I think that there's a real opportunity for us to, moving forward in healthcare, help our patients to heal in these new ways. I was, I don't know, I think Kelly, you might have liked the post on LinkedIn about supportive design, where, you know, they're kind of more so in the San Francisco area. I think there might have been one in New York City, but architecture and like the colors of doctors' offices and pharmacies, that can create cues of safety for the nervous system, for someone to be like, wow, I can come in here and relax. Because think about a traditional pharmacy. It's like sterile, and the fluorescent bulbs. It's like, you know, it doesn't allow for that nervous system safety and connectedness, that it's called ventral vagal, which is essentially like being in the window of tolerance of, we're not on the sympathetic, we're not in the burnout. So I think that there are so many little pieces that even as entrepreneurs you can do, and regulating your own nervous system, picking, like I'm going to really be intentional too for this Healers in Healthcare. Like, how can I create safety for my participants? I mean, that is so huge.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like all of those little things that you can do with intention to get your clients better results, because when you're in that ventral vagal state, the window of tolerance, people can actually absorb what you're saying. So there's so much science behind that. As you can tell, I'm a huge nerd. And I'm like, I'm so excited about this, but
I think all of us are. So
yeah, we are. Yeah.
I love geeking
That's not
out.
something new, because that's not something that's really taught, right? As we go through the conventional
Yeah.
system, you learn all the medical ways to diagnose or to treat or to dispense and all of that. And then when you start hearing about how important just the mind is, right? And
Yeah.
our state of mind and where we're at with our body and all of that, it's so important.
It's
Yeah.
powerful.
Now, I got another one for you. Okay, so we have a lot of people listening who, you know, maybe are aspiring entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for them about starting their own little business?
Yeah. So I would say to take out a piece of paper and just be with your own heart. First of all, like I always have, you know, your frequency is always first, aligning your energy, and just shut off all of the, you know, the noise of, oh, what is my husband going to think? What is this one going to think? That one, the fear, the news, shut it all off and just be with yourself, because that's when that whisper is going to come through and you're going to hear guidance. And that's our intuition. Especially as women, we know there's always that gut feeling. And if we don't listen to it, it's going to be like nagging until you answer it.
Yes.
You know, like God's knocking on that door, like, hey, here's your life purpose. Let's go, you know? So I would say, even if you have fear, you know, again, lean on support, lean on, you know, any of these three incredible women, you know, wherever, just kind of like ask, okay, what is my next step? And follow that intuition, whether it's to reach out to someone, to read a book, to start to write out. That's why I said, get out the piece of paper, write out, like, what is it that you love? What excites you? What is your passion? What are the things that light you up, that you're really, that you know, are gifted at too? You know, like I love writing and I love to dance and I weave that into my business. So that's what we're going to be talking about, that too, like combining your knowledge, skills, attitudes, story, gifts into a profitable business model. So if that's you, you should come to the Healers in Healthcare conference, because we're really going to be taking your idea to implementation and doing it in a really fun way that I'm so excited about, but I'm not telling anybody about until you get there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a party. I'll just say that.
I'll bring my dancing shoes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great segue into, we want to hear more about your project, your latest project. We want to know more about it, and please share with everybody.
And you don't want me to cry again. I mean, I'm like the first guest that's cried on your podcast or your show. That's
That'll
okay.
be trivia for the future.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this Healers in Healthcare, this really all started with this book. I always show the book because I'm just so proud of, and Trish is in the book. Let's see if I can find Trish real quick. Trish is in the book, but this dropped in for me
I think I'm on 114.
Oh, you know the page number too. Okay, hold on. You're helping me. Yes, you are. Okay, there's Trish. There's Trish. And, you know, the vision I had with that was really, I think it was the beginning of what this eventually turned into, you know, moving beyond the counter, which is bringing all of these women together, these healers that have launched successful businesses. They're monetizing their knowledge, unlocking their healing abilities, whether it's through their intuition, coaching, Reiki, hypnosis, whatever it is that they're doing. And I wanted to show, students and pharmacists what's possible. Then after that, I came up with Healers in Healthcare. I don't even know where that came from, but it dropped in. I started the show, and then again, like, I'm very in tune with my relationship with God. And I just kind of like got this download, and I was like, fuck, like, I really like, do you want me to do this, like this big conference? I'm like, man, like, I just wrote this book. Like, you're like, I always say God is my CEO, but I'm like, man, like, I busted my ass on this, but joking aside, I was like, all right, well, I'm scared, and I kind of told that story before, but I just held the vision of I just picture all the people that are going to be there. And I picture the women and the men just kind of like lighting up and seeing that connection and people networking and the expansion of the energy, and them leaving being like, wow, that was an incredible experience. And so that's for those of you who are watching and you're like, oh, it seems so far away, just keep anchoring into that vision. And the resources come, and then the people come, and everything just started coming together. But this is really meant for pharmacists, pharmacy students, healers in healthcare who are ready to expand what's possible for you. That your PharmD is a great solid foundation, and there's so much you can do with it. So I want you to come and talk to Trish and Kelly and Lauren Castle and RPH Ally and be exposed. That's why it's called an immersive experience, to literally have people come to network, grow, expand. Maybe you'll have some future guests on here. You're like, yeah, we met at the conference, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I think that when people come together for healing and empowerment, that's where we create the true ripple effect. So I want people to leave with really unlocking their true potential and getting that exposure to the infinite, I'm going to talk about quantum physics too, the infinite possibilities that exist for us, and being open and raising your energy and being available for those possibilities. So there's so much more that I could share, but I could definitely drop the landing page link here. I'm happy to talk to anybody if you have questions. If you're like, hey, is this for me? Any of those questions, I'm happy to answer. And we will be with you from before you make that decision to well after. So I want people to feel held in the space. I have support. I have volunteers, vendors, speakers. We're curating this experience so that it's a large experience, but there's also these little, opportunities for intentional mealtime networking, for breakout sessions where you can go get your questions answered. I'm going to be bringing people on stage. So there's a lot of those different opportunities as well that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll put that in the comments. That way y'all
Yeah.
be able to link to that, and y'all reach out and follow Christine if you're not already, and investigate the Healers in Healthcare conference and everything like that. We don't have a too much time left, but is there anything else you wanted to share with us? Anything that you wanted to throw in that maybe we didn't ask that you just wanted to talk about?
I would just say, I always go to, how can I encourage or uplift somebody out there who is like kind of in that self-doubt, or they're like, I don't have any gifts or, to share or whatever. And I want you to know that you do. Yes. And maybe it's not a certification or letters after your name, but to me, the greatest medicine you can give someone is your love, is your presence. And that's intangible, but that means something. And that's how you create that relationship with your patient or your client, that they trust you, that they feel safe in your presence to be able to heal. So I want you to think about those things too, like your empathy, or, any other gifts that you have. Like, my intuition is like, that's my top gift that I think of, but everybody has something to contribute. And I want to honor that in you. And for you to follow, like I said, back in my story, when I told my story, follow that voice that is telling you, I don't know why I'm being led to do this, but I'm going to do it because there's a reason. And it's kind of like the breadcrumb trail that is going to lead you down this path, that like God is guiding your every step. So just want to leave you with that encouragement.
Thank you.
I love that. You know, I used to always say, for years, I used to say, I am professionally restless. I don't know what to do with this energy. And I'd wake up every day excited to use it. And then I was just in the status quo that I had been existing in for 20 years. And so
Yep.
I feel like that's what you're speaking to for all of us that are professionally restless and have more to give and more to offer. Doesn't always mean you have to leave what you're doing, but you
Right.
can add to what you're doing to feel more fulfilled in your career. We're smart people.
I love that you brought that up, and thank you for that, because I think that like you don't have to go to full-time entrepreneurship. You could do part-time, you could have a side, like whatever you want to do, you create your life. So giving that autonomy to you to say like, hey, if you want to do whatever, like CBD consults, whatever that looks like, you have the blank slate to use your gifts, just like what you're saying, and use that energy, right? That restless energy. Like, I know I'm meant to be doing more, or maybe it's like a blog or something else. There's so much you can do.
Definitely.
So.
This has been incredible. And we're going to drop all of your links down below when we in the group and in the comment section, how to get in touch with you.
Yep.
And I know you also have a step-by-step guide.
Yeah, my Monetize Your Magic. Yep.
Yes, have that on your website. We're going to also put that link in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so this has been amazing, Christina,
been.
Dr. Fontana. It's been so much fun talking to you today. Fun is just not even the word, actually.
Inspiring. I don't know. I'm feeling the energy.
Yeah, it's a good energy to be in. It's just so nice.
Yeah,
Oh, that means so much. I feel that, like I said, I mean, going through so much trauma, and like my heart was so walled off that I feel like now it's that open. It's like, of course I have boundaries, but I want people to feel that love in my energy. And I feel like that is what I hope people feel. So
we do. We do.
Yeah.
So
They are.
thank you for sharing all about your business and this healers in healthcare movement. We're so excited to be a part of that.
yes.
It's inspiring. I know your story is going to motivate other pharmacists to join that movement. So let us know in the chat, everyone, or send us a DM what you liked about today's episode. Reach out to Dr. Fontana. And if you're interested in being our guest to share your story and showcase your brilliance, please reach out. We'd love to chat with you. Fill out that application link in our featured section. And thank you so much for joining us today. We are all about inspiration, building relationships, and networking around here. We don't play small. We are on fire. So we'll see you next week.
Oh, group hug. Group hug.
Yeah.
This was fun. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.